Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. We're live. It's the Sunday night show. Lots to talk about. We're going to start off talking about obviously the weekend, the Premier League, but also Paul Pogba and how and what his future at Manchester United is. A bit about PSG. Cavani trained today. Lots to discuss. I'm joined by Beth. How you doing, Beth?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. I'm good. No one ever asks about me. Thanks for that. Ricky, how you doing, mate? Still on holiday?
I'm fine, mate. How are you? Are you okay?
I'm good, thanks. I'm liking this theme. And then I just want to say Return of the Mac. I want to start singing that song, but his name's not Mac. It's Kev. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well, mate. I'm keeping with the theme, so I'll have to ask you all right? Yeah.
I'm good. So people who don't know who Kev is, like we're going back 4 years now, aren't we? The United Stand. Kev used to be on the original United Stand panel when we used to just do one show a week. So I was just saying, I probably worded it wrong before I went live. So I'm not going to say what I said before we went live. But obviously we've brought Beth in. She's new. And then Kev is a little bit like bringing back an old timer to the team. You know, it's a bit like what could have happened if United brought Ronaldo back. So no pressure on you there, Kev.
It's like when Paul Scholes come out of retirement that time. He played against Man City.
Probably more realistic, yeah.
I can't believe I've just compared myself to Paul Scholes, but we'll crack on.
You've got to have a good show now. I do want to ask you what you think about Solskjaer in a few minutes, but we're going to start off with Paul Pogba. Yesterday, Manchester United obviously beat Newcastle 4-1. Pogba came on, I think Pogba came on around the time of Van der Beek. I mean, I can't even remember now. But start off with you, Ricky. I mean, Pogba, we spoke last night on your fan cam about, you know, you want to see basically one of Pogba, Bruno or Van der Beek starting. Do you think that Pogba should be coming back into the team for the PSG and the Chelsea game as he learns his lesson now? Or do you think it needs to be an elongated stay out of the team, considering how those performed yesterday?
Well, certainly the way they performed yesterday, I think we've got to sort of stick with it. I mean, I've got my two favourites for the midfield role, because I think we need two steady midfielders as opposed to attacking midfielders. Like I always say, Pogba and Bruno and Van der Beek, they're all attacking players. And that's the reason we've been getting 6 goals past us, 3 goals past us. Brighton should have had 4 or 5 goals against us. There's not enough players who stay behind the ball. It's as simple as that. So for me, my favourite pairing would be McTominay and Matic. But obviously he went with McTominay and Fred yesterday. And in the thing that I sent to you, Mark, I did say, I think I said something like, imagine if you're the manager and I'm the assistant, I'd be saying to you, so long as you pick 2 of those 3, I'm happy. I would prefer McTominay and Matic, but if you want to go with McTominay and Fred, or you want to go with Matic and Fred, I'm happy. We need 2 players who are going to play a more defensive style. And then the problem with that is there's only room for any one of the attacking players. And look, I've had loads of people saying to me, we only scored the goals after the subs got made. But do they not realise that we dominated 70 minutes of a football match last night more than we've done for a hell of a long time?
So, you know, I mean, based on that then, would you just sell Pogba? Because if we only need one of them, his dream is Madrid. Is it, I can't think of any Spanish words. Is it hola or whatever to Pogba? That means hello. I want to say goodbye.
Eventually, obviously, yeah, it'd have to be. But look, at the end of the day, just going forward, taking it game by game, on Tuesday night, I know you're going to talk about this later, the team for Tuesday night, but even more so, you've got to be determined to have the team shape right. The 2 wide players have got to play because they track back. Mata and Dan James have both got to play. I don't care what anybody thinks about Dan James as a footballer. His work rate, his positional sense, it helps us to keep that shape right. Mata and James have got to play on the flanks. And any 2, I'd have McTominay and Matic, but any 2, I'd McTominay, Matic and Fred have got to play in the middle. And it only leaves 2 more spaces. You've got to have a striker. You can only play 11. It's my favourite saying.
I'll tell you what, I've got to come back and say that I thought Mata played really well yesterday, but I think any left-back who's got a bit of ambition is going to destroy him. He's too slow to track back. He's having a drink of water. We'll move on. Beth, so yeah, where are you on this? Pogba, is it time to let him go to Madrid? He's still going to be here for the rest of the season. Is he a first teamer for you? We've got to find a place to get him back in? Or do you think, you know, this experiment that Ollie started yesterday, you know, name or no name, you don't put him in the team for now?
Yeah, I think he needs to continue just working on getting back into the first team. If I was Ollie, I personally wouldn't start him again, just because the way it worked yesterday, it was so much better without him starting, because I feel like Pogba, when he's playing like sort of like in the centre defensive mid role, he leaves spaces in behind, which is why people are scoring so many goals. The shape fades away like with him there. And I do think we do need two holding midfielders. Personally, I'd go Fred and Matic, not McTominay, but I'd drop Pogba for now, yeah.
It's interesting. And just very, very quickly before I go to Kev, with regards to Pogba, is it something? Would you want him? Is it a punishment, or is it just like I don't think at the moment I'm not really bothered really. If you can come on and you can earn your place, or is it, or do you see him as a player that we really should be bending over backwards to try and get him to sign a new contract, or would you be letting him go?
I don't think it's like a punishment in a way. I think it's just, if you're not good enough, you're not going to play no matter what your name is. If your name is Paul Pogba, it doesn't guarantee your starting place in Manchester United. I think that we should probably cut our losses and sell him at the end of the season if we can, if anyone's willing to pay the money for him, because he's an amazing player, but I don't think we really, really, really need him. Like, we've got a lot of midfield players as it is, and Van der Beek's a great signing. I know he doesn't play like that kind of role the same way, but I think he slows everything up, and I don't think his pace is on it for the Premier League at the moment.
It's interesting because on the watch along yesterday, somebody said, if you think about it, when Bruno first came in, we didn't have Pogba and we did very well as a team without him. And I think yesterday was probably the first time, even though I didn't like the team, I did come out of it thinking you don't need to play Rashford and Greenwood on the wings. You can play people like Mata and Bruno and Van der Beek, and it works. And also, I think, the Pogba relationship has always been tempestuous and inconsistent. And maybe it is time. Maybe it is time that we just sort of start looking away from it and let him go. But Kev, I mean, by all means, talk about Pogba. But one of the things I want to ask you, because we've obviously not been on the show for a while, is where do you stand on Ollie? Because the win yesterday is really good. But if I'd spoke to you on Friday, there's a lot of people Ollie out. There's a lot of people Ollie in. I don't want you to summarise 4 years in 4 hours. But where do you sit at the moment with Solskjaer? Are you firmly Ollie in? Do you think he's the right man? Have you got concerns? Have you been,
I think there are concerns, but definitely Ollie in. For me, at the end of the day, you have to look at it and think that he's not being given the tools to do the job at Man United. If Solskjaer sat down in the summer and give out his targets and said, I want these 4 or 5 players, the Glazers and Woodward, they're not even working off the first and second names that Solskjaer is giving in. We're 4, 5, 6 numbers down that line, which is why we've seen the likes of Cavani come in on a free transfer. I just think it was totally shambolic, the transfer window, and I think it's quite harsh to be pointing the finger at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He wants the tools to do the job. If you don't supply him with the tools to do the job, how is he supposed to do it? Yes, he can try and train these players and get them to, do a job for Man United. But ultimately, he wants better players in that squad. We all know, we're looking in, we know what Manchester United need. And sadly, that summer, or the transfer window has just been shambolic. So I'm with Solskjaer, totally 100% behind him. But again, it's just the Glazers and Woodward I look to. I cannot understand how this club is being run. It's heartbreaking to see. It's just so sad. But we United fans, aren't we? We just continue with it on this journey. We support the team, but it's absolute, as Roy Keane would say, it's a nonsense.
It is a nonsense, and it's amazing how quick it turns, because we were very angry less than 2 weeks ago for the transfer window, and the next day the press do what they do. They leak about Pochettino, and the fans are going Ollie out, and you think, oh my God, why are we moving on to Ollie out when actually the same problem is the same problem? I mean, look, that Spurs game today, if people didn't see it, 15 minutes before the end, everyone's going, Mourinho, this is what happens if you give Mourinho money. He's going to win the title with Spurs. 15 minutes later, you realise he's bought an apron. There's nothing at the back. But the reality is, Mourinho, Spurs do look a decent team under Mourinho. They just can't defend. But I agree with you on that. I think that the focus always needs to be on the Woodwards and the Glazers of this world, because they make every manager's job, whoever they are. Pogba, I mean, look, there's a big general question there, I suppose, as well, because, you know, obviously Beth and Ricky are on the show regularly at the moment, and you've not been on for a while. The Pogba situation, obviously you're a match goer as well. You know, there is a division about Pogba. You know, people in the live comments can say it's an agenda. It's a division. Some people just think he should go. What's your thought on Pogba, and especially in relation to the team? Is it a short punishment, or does he come straight back in for you, or is it, you know, a longer term thing?
For me, it's not even an agenda. I'm done with Pogba. Honestly, as a Man United fan, you look back through the years, and I know we're in a different era now, the modern day era of football, but could you ever imagine on an international weekend the likes of Brian Robson, Roy Keane turning around and flirting with the idea of going to Real Madrid? I mean, even if they did, they wouldn't come out and actually publicly state it. The fact we got absolutely hammered by Spurs 6-1, and then that weekend Paul Pogba makes the news. I'm just absolutely fed up with him. It's not an agenda against him. I think he's a liability on the pitch. All this argument all the time that we need the right player in against him to unlock him and to free him up and get forward and stuff. He's a £90 million player that we signed. And in Juventus, people always say, oh, Pirlo was brilliant. He played him against him. If you're that good and you're £90 million worth of talent, he should be standing out at Man United. It's very rare that when the chips are down, United go 1-0 down, Pogba goes hiding. Apart from that Man City game where, you know, we stopped him from, or delayed him from winning the title, I can't think of many games that Paul Pogba has stood out where you've gone, he was fantastic today. Very, very inconsistent. But this fact that he keeps flirting with the idea of Real Madrid. I mean, if my missus was flirting with people left, right and centre, you'd bin him off. And that's where I'm at the minute. It's not even like he's been here half a season and we're letting him to bed in. You know, he's been here a long time. We paid a hell of a lot of money for him. And again, this argument about trying to get players in around him to unlock Paul Pogba, you'll see the real Paul Pogba. You know, he turns up for France all the time. And people say, oh, it's because he plays with Kante. You know, he does all the donkey work for him. We've got players that can do that. Like Rick said, you know, we've got the likes of McTominay, Fred, Matic, who can do that for him. But yeah, for me, Pogba, a couple of seasons now, I just really don't get it. I know there's a lot of Pogba fanboys out there. They'll be like, Pogba this, Pogba that. I think he believes his own hype. I think he believes he's better than what he actually is. When in reality, you know, he needs to just cut back on these stupid haircuts, all the social media shit, and get back to basics, which is playing for Man United. No player is bigger than Man United.
Well, there you go. Kev's back. But, you know, it's an opinion, isn't it? Well, whether it's a fair opinion or not, it's an opinion. And I mean, look, I like Pogba. I think he's got an amazing talent. I just think the consistency thing, which sort of fits in, I think, with what everybody would say, is my big issue. And I hope he doesn't play against PSG. I really do, because I think that it would just send the wrong message out. And I do agree with Kev that ultimately he's done it so many times that it probably didn't get the scrutiny it deserved. That he did sit there and say, my dream is to play for Real Madrid. You know, you don't have to tell everybody about all your dreams. You know, we've all had dreams we don't want to tell people about. And I think a bit of respect is due to the fans. I don't care if he doesn't respect the Woodwards and the Glazers of this world, because I'd applaud him for that. But you've got to respect the fans. And we just lost 6-1 to Spurs, for God's sake. And, you know, you were at fault for 2 of the goals. So talking about Real Madrid doesn't do it for me. We talk about PSG, though, Ricky. Martial, big player that you like. Cavani trained today. He's going to make changes, whether you think he should or not. What changes would you expect and agree? Well, what changes would you make? I suppose that's the best question, because there's people like Tellez, isn't there?
Changes that I'd make, I do think it'd be fantastic if we could get a result there. So I don't think we can rest loads of players. It's not a League Cup tie, is it, where we can afford to rest loads of players? But we've got certain players that are banging on the door. And I've had people saying to me today that I've got an agenda against Bruno. I've got no agenda against Bruno whatsoever. I like Bruno. But he's playing at number 10. And there's so many people saying that we can fit Bruno and Pogba in the same team. And I've told you time and time again, Mark, we can't fit Van der Beek and Bruno in the same team. Now,
I think we can.
I don't think so.
But I think if you got Mata and Bruno, you can definitely have Van der Beek and Bruno.
You could get away with it, but Van der Beek is not going to play and stick to the wide right position like Mata is. You know, I said this to you, didn't I, before the game against Newcastle? We need Mata on the right, we need James on the left, we need to keep our shape, we need four across the middle of the park, and we can get more of a foothold in the game against a team like Newcastle. We dominated the play. We ain't going to dominate the play against PSG, but what we do need to do is make sure we've got that shape. We need a back four, we need a midfield four. If you put Van der Beek or Bruno in that right-hand side position in front of Mata, I don't care how good they are, they're not going to do the job the same as Juan Mata does. He's got such a football brain, Juan Mata. He stays, you just said about the lack of pace. He'll just be in position waiting for them to come when we're under pressure. He won't be chasing back. It's not about being quick to be able to keep up or to catch up. It's about being in the right place in the first place. It's about having your four across the middle of the park, your four across the back four, a number 10 and a number 9. Against these, we've got to keep Mata on the right. We've got to keep James on the left. Loads of people will say, "What about Rashford?" I don't care. He doesn't track back as well as James does. He doesn't hold that position as well as James does. It's about getting a foothold in the game. This is what happened against Newcastle. People are telling me, "Yeah, but he scored this goal. He made that goal." We've got a foot. If he'd have been playing on the left wing, we probably would have been 1-0 down by the time, or 2-0 down by the time the 70th minute game. Because we're dominating the game because we've got a midfield four that are dominating the game. That's what happens when you've got good players. So Mata on the right, James on the left. For me, McTominay and Matic. But I'll accept McTominay and Fred, or I'll accept Matic and Fred. Those four players have got to play. It only leaves room for one number 10. Again and again and again. You can only play 11, and do not try and shoehorn players into positions where they don't Van der Beek doesn't want to be chasing their left back or just staying back, waiting for their left back to come forward. Bruno,
I don't think Mata does at 59, though, does he?
But he does. Mata. Look at the game against. I know it was only. Who did we play in the League Cup? I've said this on Twitter. I've said this on Twitter. Doesn't matter who you're playing, right? You could be playing Brighton or you could be playing Bayern Munich. They can't stop you from holding your position on the field. They might be able to get past you, but they cannot stop you from holding your position and being in the right place. And Juan Mata's an intelligent player. He'll play the role. And this is what he needs to do. And I hope he's seen that. You know, he's done it this weekend. We've dominated the game from start to finish. We're not going to dominate the game against PSG, but we need to get a foothold in the game. If you could say to me now, it's going to be 0-0 after an hour, I would bite your hand off. I'd bite your hand off. And we've got more chance of it being 0-0 after an hour with Mata and James on the wings than we have with, say, as you're putting forward, Van der Beek and Rashford, say. We've got more chance of it still being 0-0 if it's Mata and James. We need to start concentrating on getting the team shape right and sticking with it.
So you'd go with Mata and James and maybe a McTominay and Matic, and Rashford, Greenwood, Van der Beek.
No, there's only room for two up top
on the bench.
Yeah, well, I would go with. Look, Van der Beek is banging on the door for a start, and every time he comes on, he's superb. What you see? What the danger that I'm in here is, or what I mean, if he was to play the team that I'm going to say, we'll probably get beat anyway. You know, we're probably going to lose whoever we pick.
Yeah.
To give ourselves our best chance, we need to play a proper solid midfield four across the park, a number 10 and a number 9. Now, Van der Beek looks absolute class at number 10. He's banging on the door for a start. He's only started against Brighton and started against Luton. Give the lad a chance against PSG. You know, like I've just said, there's a reasonable chance we'll get beat, whoever we pick. It's not going to make that great a difference, but I just feel as though the kid needs a chance playing
Beth, are you going to go with that team?
No, not quite. I wouldn't start Jan James on the left. I think he did all right against Newcastle. He had his best game that he's had in a while, but he makes some runs, but then his decision-making at the end of the run, every time I watched him, he made the wrong pass, or it's just one of them shots that just doesn't go anywhere. I think you've got to play Rashford on the left wing. He brings that quality, and the way he was linking up with Bruno as well, like, you can't not play him. I also think you could start Van der Beek on that right-hand side with Bruno, because I think he can actually take on that Mata role. He's got the Ajax intelligence. I think he can hold his shape. I think he can interlock the play well with Bruno. But the reason I wanted to play Fred and Matic is I think Matic brings like the experience, the defensive work. Fred's got so much energy. He can get in, quick passing with Van der Beek, with Bruno, lay it off to Rashford, who links up well with Martial. And that's the team I would play in the midfield. I don't think Dan James even makes the bench for me, to be honest. I don't see him as a first-team player for United. I think Rashford can get back on the left-hand side.
I'll tell you what, you're not going to get a Christmas card off Ricky. I can tell you that for free. What about defence? Because we're all talking about attack there. And I do, out of the two, I mean, look, Ricky got it right. He said that team 2 weeks before that team yesterday. He pretty much picked it or said we should go with that. And Ollie did. And it worked. So it's all about opinion, of course. I would like to see Van der Beek on that right, Rashford on the left, Martial, Bruno, and I wouldn't bring Pogba back. No, I would probably go with Matic, and I think I would prefer Fred to McTominay for the mobility, and I think we'd have a chance. But defensively, is it time for Telles? Would you drop Shaw out because Maguire and Lindelof again?
I think it's a perfect opportunity to give Telles a chance, to be honest. He played Luke Shaw for the full 90 minutes. I think it'd be nice for him to get his debut. He can attack down the left-hand side. And plus, if you bring in Cavani on, which I have a feeling he might do, he can get the crosses in for Cavani to get on the end of if we do bring him on and we need a goal. I would start Telles. I think Luke Shaw did quite well against Newcastle, but I don't think it was anything to write home about. I don't think it was anything that he absolutely deserves to keep his place for. And I would like to see Telles start, definitely. Especially when you've got the 2 holding midfielders, because they can be defensive. So I think Telles is more attacking. He can get down that left-hand side more.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I like Luke Shaw, and I thought Luke Shaw played well yesterday. But where do you sit on the agenda of Luke Shaw, Kev? I sense that you're probably not a fan of his.
I don't mind Luke Shaw. I think he's gone through probably a little bit of a bad spell. I think competition for places is definitely there. I think Brandon Williams can push him, and Telles as well. Definitely, United haven't spent that money on Telles, to have him sat on the bench. But again, going back to what you said about Van der Beek as well, it is a strange one because I think we got him for a really good price in the summer. A bit of Glazonomics and all that, it's value in the market, and yet he can't get a start in the first team. It is beyond me that, because he comes on off the bench on his debut, scores a goal, looks lively, looks really good, like a box-to-box midfielder, and yet, gets overlooked, every week. It's like he's primed and ready to go. He's played in a really, really good Ajax team. He's been there from a kid. He's got a very good footballing brain, but he keeps getting overlooked. And if anything, against PSG, for me, he deserves to be in that starting lineup purely on merit and for the way that he's been performing in that shirt. And yet some people will still argue that Paul Pogba deserves to start. But for me, Donny van der Beek has to start. He deserves it.
Who would you start him for?
In place of?
Yeah.
Well, you can't drop Fernandes at the minute on current form. I know. I was going to say, what are you drinking tonight, Rick?
Ooh, Kev, don't try and shoehorn him into a position that he doesn't want to play in. And don't put him in Bruno's position and try to shoehorn Bruno into a position that he doesn't play. They're both fantastic number 10s. We've got to grasp this. Ole has got to grasp it. Mike Phelan's got to grasp it. They're both fantastic number 10s. Don't try to shoehorn them into different positions so that everybody can play. That's what.
Is that not what we've done with Mata for 6 years?
It's what we've been doing wrong. It's what we've been doing wrong.
It's like Rick said, it is about getting that system right in the middle of the park, that right blend. I know what you mean. It's like don't just put him in for the sake of it. Don't stick him out on the right or the left. Just
don't play him at right back. Don't play him in goal, but also don't play him on the right wing or the left wing. He's got to play number 10. Yeah. And if Bruno's going to be in the team, he's got to play at number 10. You can only use one of them. Give the kid his chance.
Yeah. But I still think there's room to get them both in that centre of the park, me, personally.
One thing we could do is we could play a back five. You know, Ollie likes a back five when we're the underdog. He could put Tellez at left wing back, Luke Shaw left centre back, and go with a 5. What would it be? A 5-3-2.
Play with a back 5, Mark, and I think he might play with a back 5. Obviously, he'd take a draw. I'd take a draw. But if he's going to play with a back 5, don't forget that's one place less out of the front 6 players. You know what I mean? Even less room for Van der Beek or Bruno or Pogba.
Yeah. So you'd be going with three central defenders?
Again, I'll probably say it 5 times during.
He's frozen.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Cut him short.
It was good like it lasted, Ricky. I think he was just going to say Maguire's Matic is the best player in the world. Martial is, and Mata should be Ballon d'Or winner. But he'll be back. He'll be back. So yeah, Kev, you PSG, you would play Van der Beek and Bruno.
Yeah, I honestly think you can fit them two in the team. I know what Rick's saying there. It's all about blend and trying to get that right sort of mixture in that. But Fernandes, for me, yes, he plays that number 10 role really well. But I don't know. What do you think, Van der Beek? Would you class him more as a number 10, or do you think he can play in a midfield role?
No, I mean, look, the thing about Van der Beek is it's really interesting is that he's a player that United have been looking at, United fans and on the United stand, we've been talking about for ages. Like we were talking about Bruno 12 months before we bought him, and Van der Beek has been spoken about for about 2 years. I think if you spoke to people in that time about Van der Beek, nobody would be saying he's a number 10. A lot of people a lot of people thought he was a CDM. He's not a CDM, but he's definitely a number 8. He's a box to box. So he can 100%. He can have Pogba's role. That's what. When we bought him, I thought it'd be Matic, Van der Beek, Bruno, in the 4-3-3 that we played. So I think he can play. It's like Beth said. He's come from Ajax. Like they're footballers. He can press the ball. He can win the ball, and he can pass the ball. And you can basically stick him anywhere in the midfield, and probably left or right midfield. If Mata can do it, he can do it. In my opinion.
Yeah.
He can definitely take on that role, I think, that Mata played yesterday. I know Rick said that about the shape and stuff, but Van der Beek, he's got football intelligence. He can definitely get back, and he's younger. He's got fresher legs. Mata played 90 minutes against Newcastle. Obviously, I'm not writing him off, but I think if I was Ollie, I'd start Van der Beek in place of Mata against PSG, and then maybe have Mata on the bench if you need him there.
I love Ricky's opinion, but I just think if we put McTominay, Matic, James, and Mata in the team, that means you've got to bench Pogba, Rashford, Greenwood, Bruno. I mean, fucking hell. We lose that game, Ollie's out of job Wednesday morning, isn't it?
It's harsh to put, like you say, drop Mata out the team when you see how he played yesterday. Yeah. You know, he played very well against Brighton in the Carabao Cup. And then it was like, will he be in contention to start against Spurs? You know, he didn't start. But again, you know, he's played brilliantly yesterday, and he probably will be the fall guy who'll be taken out against PSG, which you can kind of understand what it's like.
He probably can't play on Tuesday anyway, can he? Because he's he probably can't. I don't think Matic can do it anymore. So I'd be very surprised like you if Mata starts. But one player Cavani trained today. Do we think there's any chance? Would any of us play Cavani, or the fact that Martial needs to play because he can't play in the league at the moment? Surely Cavani goes on the bench, Beth?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't start Cavani because he's not played football since March. Is it March he's not played football since? And obviously he's been in isolation. He's only just started training with the team today. Martial, especially if you play in Van der Beek or even Mata in that role with Bruno, he's going to get, well, we're against PSG, but if we do unlock them doors like we did against Newcastle in the opportunities we get, I think Martial could have a chance and he can stick it. And I think Cavani has to come on probably like 10 minutes, 20 minutes to go if we need a goal. And I think that could be really effective, especially if we play Tellers. You never know, we could catch him out with a cross. Cavani, debut goal against his old club. I could definitely see that happening.
I'm excited to see him, but I must be honest, Kev, I'll ask you as well. What did you think about the Cavani signing? Because to me, it stunk of desperation. I think Scholesy said it 6 years ago, it would be a good signing, but would United have got him 6 years ago? I don't think they would have done. So what do you think about the Cavani signing? And our expectations probably, are they high? Are they low? You know?
I was very, very underwhelmed. Like I said before, this shambolic transfer window, we've gone from trying to sign Jadon Sancho, who was clearly the top target, to ending up with Edinson Cavani on a free transfer. Now, it's a massive, massive gamble. I said it when we actually signed him. Same thing. It's like, it's a panic buy. That's exactly what this stinks of. You know, United, if Cavani was Man United's #1 target, why didn't we have him signed pre-season? He could have had a pre-season, could have played 3 Premier League games, a Carabao Cup game. He could have been up to speed. We don't know. But why leave it until the last day, the last hour of the window, and then make out that Cavani was your top target? I'm not knocking him as a player, what he's done. If this was 2015, I'd be saying, you know, spot on, we'll take that. But, you know, he's what is he, 30? He's closer to 34 than he is. I think he's nearly
33 and a half, yeah.
So he's closer to being 34. What I will say, you can't really look at pictures, but obviously he's built, you know, he looks the part and that. But again, he's not played football for what, nearly 7 months? I think he's been doing dancing on ice or some stupid thing like that. It's like, you know, what are we actually getting? And we will not know. But like you say, against PSG, he might have a point to prove. The fact that Martial now is suspended, does he now look and think, well, we can shoehorn Cavani in. We need to get him in straight away. He's got a point to prove against PSG. Can we get him in? We need to get him up to speed very, very quickly. It's high risk transfer. And I won't say I feel sorry for him because he's obviously getting a shitload of money to come to Man United. But we are pinning our hopes on Cavani, really, and this transfer working. What I will say is he obviously will want it to work. Sure, he's a great professional and that. He's said all the right things as these modern day footballers do when they sign for United. It's great to be at a big club and all that, but time will tell. And another thing is he's very, injury wise, his injury record is not really that great. So what's the Premier League going to throw at him? You know, he's used to playing in, you know, that league, which is, you might as well be playing in the Scottish League, for Christ's sake. They win the league every season, you know, it's no big feat winning that, is it really? But
it's like you say,
Premier
I think we all know it's high risk, and we hope it works because it's not the player's fault. But it's Glazonomics, isn't it? It's just high risk.
It's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah. Well, if he gets injured, then it's I told you so, because they should have looked at his bloody injury record. But Ricky's back.
Sorry
Ricky's back. You've got this the wrong way around, Ricky. You're now in the dark. He's gone in the dark now, so that we're not meant to know who it is, but he was here earlier. What I want to talk about just very quickly is the Premier League's been really entertaining this weekend. And from a United point of view, when you think about it, Everton dropped points, Liverpool dropped points because they played each other. Chelsea dropped points at home to Southampton. Spurs dropped points today. Arsenal lost to Man City. So, you know, I think if we win our game in hand, which I don't know when our game in hand is, apparently we're playing Burnley, but I can't see where it is in the fixture list. So it's obviously not going to happen before Christmas. So, but if we did have that game and we won it, we'd actually be a point behind, I think, a point behind Liverpool, and 3 points off, or something like that, off Everton. So we have got an opportunity to get back into it. What is that just typical silly United fantasy fans, Ricky? You know, is there an element of realism that needs to hit, or do you think that's what we should be aiming to do with the squad that we've got? You know, I felt yesterday that I was really impressed with the last 20 minutes, how our fitness levels destroyed Newcastle. And I don't think we could have done that before the international break. And I think that was because we didn't have a pre-season. Do you think that, United should be looking to, take advantage of this horrible Van Dijk injury, Man City's inconsistency? Or do you think United, the expectations should be lowered down? Because this fan base, you know what it's like. We've won 4-1. Some people think we're going to win the treble, whereas some people think, we'll be fighting for 6th.
I'd like to say that we've got a team there, if he gets it right, that can win the league. But I won't say there's a team there that can win the league if City and Liverpool can keep up their recent levels and get 90-odd points. But there is just a little glimmer of hope there at the minute that might not happen. The Premier League is often won with points around 85 points, say. And I think we've got a team that can get 85 points. It's just a case of if those two teams will actually slip a little bit and only get around 85 points themselves. So I do think it's possible that we could mount a challenge. But he's really got to get it right on a regular basis. And he's got to get these players playing together, play with a midfield 4. We've just dominated the Newcastle game. I know we didn't score goals till late, but we missed a penalty. We were a little bit unlucky with the goal that was disallowed. It was a beautiful move between Mata and Bruno. I think we've got to start beating the smaller teams comfortably. And I think we've got a team there that can beat the smaller teams comfortably on a regular basis. But he's got to get it right. As much as everybody loves Rashford, he isn't how a player Martial is. Martial's got to play. He's got to play. And it's okay that we got goals late on. Was it 85 minutes when we took the lead? I believe we've got a team there that can start taking teams to the cleaners and have games wrapped up rather than struggling to try and get a winner in the last few minutes. I really do. And I also think they can do it on a regular basis against the smaller teams. But he's got to get it right. It's got to be. Look, on the TV screens these days, they always put it as 4-3-3 or 4-1-3-2 and all this. It's 4-4-2 in anybody's book. Don't worry about that. Mata's on the right. James is on the left. McTominay and Fred are in the middle of the park, which for me should be McTominay and Matic. And then you need a number 10 and a number 9. And we've got 2 quality number 10s and we've got a quality number 9. If Cavani can play anything like that he used to play, which I've not watched him play for a while, but we've got 2 quality 9s and we've got 2 quality 10s. If he gets it right, we can get lots and lots of points. We really can.
I can't think that we're going to get 85 points with James and Mata in the team.
I can, easily.
I'd love to run that experiment. If anyone's got a computer, I want to run it. Easily
we can.
Not unless Dan James and Mata do some sort of clone thing and produce.
No, you do not need specific players to be scoring goals and creating goals. It's about the team scoring goals. It's about the team creating chances. And we've got a team there that can, just like they dominated Newcastle, they can dominate other games. If we'd have had, everybody's talking about Rashford's performance yesterday. If Martial was playing, we probably would have been 3-1 up at half time. I know he doesn't score all his chances, but it's about getting the whole team playing well. And Martial holds it better, gets other players into the game better. Mata would have had more of the ball. James would have had more of the ball. Fernandes would have had more of the ball. We'd have been a better team with Martial in the team. He's got to get it right. Look, in this day and age, with these teams getting 90-odd points, you can't start. We're already on the catch-up. We can't start being more on the catch-up. I know Martial's not fit, and Martial can't play against Chelsea and Arsenal, can he? But we've got to get the team right in those 2 games. We need 4 points out of those 2 games of winning a draw. Desperate. And you don't know, before you go into those games, you don't need to target one game to get 3 out of and another game to get 1 out of. You don't have to do that. You've got to start by saying, right, in this game, we're getting a point. We've got to have them 4 in the middle of the park. We've got to have a number 10 and a number 9. We've got to go for a point, and you never know. You can nick it, you can get 3. If you get 3 in the first game, that's fantastic. And 1 will do in the next one.
Beth? Odd Premier League season. What do you think is possible for United? Obviously, we've got some really tough games coming up.
Obviously, last week everyone was like, oh, we'll struggle to get fifth, we'll struggle to get top four. And now everyone's saying, oh, maybe we can go on and win it after this weekend. But that's the Premier League, isn't it? But I think if Bruno doesn't get injured, then I think we've got a good chance at challenging. If teams like Liverpool, City, even Tottenham keep dropping points, Chelsea as well, do you think we've got a chance of challenging? But I think to do that, we've got to go on a run like we've just beat Newcastle. Everyone's going to say it's only Newcastle, but we dominated the game. And I was one of them. I was, oh, we've got to play Greenwood. He's really good and all this. But to be fair, when I watched us against Newcastle, Ricky, all of this, I did think that Mata did bring the shape and that midfield did bring the shape. Not necessarily Dan James, because I do think Rashford can do that job as well. But with the way he set up yesterday, if he gets it right, then yeah, we can go on and get a lot of points. And I just think Bruno, he's got to stay fit. He brings like the mindset, the energy. Even yesterday, we were dominating, but we didn't actually get the goals until the end of the game. But he never gave up. Like Pogba lets his head drop sometimes. Other players let the head drop. He missed that penalty. Didn't stop him. He kept going. And I think he's the key to our team at the moment.
I like it that you said that because I was doing the watch along yesterday, and after Bruno missed that penalty, I noticed a lot. I notice a lot of things on the watch-alongs, and I notice with Martial a lot, people will go, he'll miss a chance and they'll go, he's rubbish. And then within 5 minutes, he scored a goal and he'll sit them down. And I thought Bruno, the goal he scored to win the game at 2-1, that finish was just, you can finish those chances and you can finish those chances. And how he put it in the top corner is just, and then the pass to Rashford again, which he did against Brighton. I think he did a pass like that. Look, he came into the team when we were 14 points off fourth and we finished third. And I think you're right. I think Bruno is absolutely essential to that side. But Kev, I want to ask you about Maguire, actually. Harry Maguire, Ollie picked him last night. Captain again. Get it right. Would you have dropped him? Where were you on that? And where are you at on that now?
Do you know, I was quite... I was a hypocrite, basically, because with Harry Maguire, I would always say any Man United player on current form, if you're not doing it, you don't deserve that shirt. Give it to somebody that's doing it. Now, Harry Maguire's been through a rough stage. We know what happened in Greece, everything that's gone on, whatever's going on.
Do you? Do you know what happened? Tell us then, because no one.
Well, his sister was nearly abducted. That's all you need to look into it.
Yeah, that's the story we're meant to believe, yeah.
Yes, by the Greek mafia. But
yeah,
hopefully they're not watching anyway and they don't know where I live. But
yeah,
no, I would have said take him out. The only thing I give for Harry Maguire, he's the captain of the club. I'm not just saying he deserves to start because he's the captain of the club, but I just think it would have sent out the wrong message to take him out the team. And I know leading up to the game, Solskjaer mentioned this thing about he's got a slight knock, he might not play. And I thought he's setting this up to cushion it, to defend his player and that. But it worked. Whether you can say it was a risk, a gamble, and it paid off, but it did. And he played him. For me, I looked at it and I thought, you know what? If he takes him out that team, confidence-wise, his head will just be down. He's the captain of Man United. He just needed to get it out of his system because he had an absolute shocker against Spurs. And I think he gave a lot of them players a second chance to go out there and put it straight. And we did the business yesterday. He got his goal. And it's all about confidence with Maguire. I think he just needs this run of games now, get his head back checked. And yeah, he's, like I say, he's a captain of Man United. And I'm glad that Solskjaer started him yesterday. But I am slightly a hypocrite because I would usually say, the likes of Pogba or whoever who's not doing it, I would say take him out the team. But I think it's different with Harry Maguire, and I think it paid off.
Where are you
if
on
that? Makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, look, I wasn't a hypocrite. I would have dropped him. I said that, and I still will say I would have dropped him. And I still think that if it wasn't for an absolutely world-class save by De Gea, I know I would have been doing what I normally do and going, Maguire, you're shit. What? Because he's not marking Callum Wilson at all. He just seems to have. There was a cross that came in from Luke Shaw's side, and he let it go. And I don't know whether he got the shout or not, but it went right across the 6-yard box, and I was like, bloody hell, he's lucky no one's coming in behind because he let it past him again, and he did it against Sevilla twice. And he just seems to not be very good at dealing with crosses when they're not in the air. But Yeah, I think if David De Gea, and that save was world class. I don't think there's many goalkeepers who could do that. If that goes in, we're 2-1 down. Do we win the game? And I think everyone's going, he's an idiot for picking Maguire. So you know, but it worked. You know, I've got to say, Ollie got it right. It did work, and he scored a goal that I think he should be scoring 6 of those a season, and he didn't last year. So hopefully he can do that more, because that's what he can do. That's the disappointing thing. But Ricky, Maguire, where are you on Maguire? I don't think we've actually spoken about that.
I think I said to you, Matt, last week, the shambolic performance against Spurs was more about the lack of protection. You know, the actual, sorry to bang on about it, but the team shape and the lack of protection for the back four. And I've had a few people on Twitter saying to me, but just by having a better team shape and more protection for the back four, it won't cut out individual errors, which it won't cut out individual errors. But by having that better team shape and playing that four across the park and having more of the ball, simply means that there's less defending to do. There's so much less defending to do. It's unbelievable. And it works. It works a treat. And, I actually said, I'm sure you read what I put down. I actually said, stick with the keeper. I did say put Lindelof back in for Bailey. I thought Bailey was horrendous. But Maguire got all the stick. Bailey, honestly, Bailey's not a Man United player. He really isn't. So I said it's got to be Lindelof for Bailey. Other than that, and that's the back four, that he played, that didn't have a bad record last season, and played in some of the big games that we won. Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, and Shaw. That's our best back four by a country mile. I've not seen Tellers play. I want to mention Tellers about something else in a minute. But he stuck with the back four. He played a better shape. The four. When you think about shape, you've got 2 more defensive midfield players in front of the back four, giving them less defending to do in that respect. But also with Mata tracking back on one side, James tracking back on the other side, it's less often that they get pulled out of position. We've got people that are doubling up. When Rashford plays on the wing, Beth, when Rashford plays on the wing and when Greenwood plays on the wing, they can get forward, and we've not got players getting back quick enough, or even before they get forward, be there before they come forward. And when you've got Mata and James, who are both good at it, it means that they're not getting as much space on the flank less often. I know Newcastle are not as good as Spurs, but trust me, the amount of space Aurier got against us, he wouldn't have got that much space if Dan James was playing instead of Rashford. He really wouldn't. Everybody thinks about these players who can score goals and run past people and all that, and they don't really think so much about the other important parts, which are the most important parts. The most important part of a professional football game is starting off with 0 against and trying to finish with 0 against. That is the most important thing. Then build from there. Yeah.
I was going to tell you a joke there, Ricky, but it wouldn't have worked. I was going to say we missed 5 minutes of that because you cut out, but then you'd be like, how did I hear that? But no, we did hear it. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that I think Ollie got it right. Did he not, Beth? I mean, yesterday, I don't think we've asked you about what you thought about the team selection, but obviously Maguire started, Pogba didn't start. Did Solskjaer deliver to you the fact that he, a lot of people going into the game were like, he's a weak manager, he's a coward, he just does things for likes. Do you think that team, when it came out yesterday, did he get it right? Did it surprise you? Does that bode well for the future?
I mean, it definitely surprised me, but I do think he got it right. I mean, that was proven by the result. When I saw the elite team sheet, I was a bit nervous. I was like, I can't believe he sent basically nearly the full team out again. But I'm glad he dropped Pogba. He deserves to drop Pogba after what he said purely about Real Madrid. And he's not been performing well. So I'm glad he did that. I'm glad he played 2 in the midfield, the holding midfield position, and learned his lesson about being exposed at the back. It was quite a big call to drop Matic, but I think he did that purely because he's going to play him against PSG. But yeah, he definitely got it right. But I just think the one thing is I don't Dan James on that left hand side. He doesn't. He presses well.
Doesn't score enough goals.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't when he gets to that position, he always makes the wrong decision. And I know you said he's got football intelligence for getting back and stuff, but if he can get coached into making the right pass, then he could be great on the left wing. But I do think Rashford has to be on the left wing, and Martial, when he comes back into the team, he's going to score those goals, especially if we're playing Mata and Bruno in together, or Van der Beek and Bruno in together. Because if Martial was playing yesterday, I think it'd be a different story than what people are saying in the press about him.
Just on that quickly, Beth, because I mentioned this morning. Do you think that, because I've always felt that Rashford, Greenwood, Martial as a front three, or maybe a Dan James in there, this pure pace, this pure flair is the way to go. But Greenwood, Rashford and James, they don't create anything. So yesterday you've got Mata, who's slower than McGran, rest in peace. And then you've got Van der Beek and you've got Bruno. None of them are quick, but we still created loads of chances. And you look at, I mentioned this morning, Man City. All right, they've got Sterling, but De Bruyne, Aguero, Silva, David Silva used to be there. Is there anything to be said that we don't actually need to look at this explosive pace if we're going to have a lot of the ball? You can just play people like Mata, Van der Beek and Bruno and maybe not play a Greenwood and a James and a Rashford on the side.
Yeah, I do agree with that. When you've got creativity in midfield in the likes of Mata, Bruno and Van der Beek making them quick passes, that's the thing, the quick passes, it unlocks the door. For example, that team goal, Rashford's pace was the reason we got the team goal, but them quick passing, I've not seen it enough from us. When Pogba's in the midfield, he slows it down, like he hogs the ball and things don't move quick enough. I think that with Matic sometimes, but sometimes he does it in a positive way and like calms everything down. But when you've got them unlocking the doors and you've got Rashford to run through as well, I don't think you need to be that quick because you've got the creativity going forward. And I was just going to answer you on the Maguire thing. I knew that Ollie wasn't going to drop Maguire, but I don't think you can drop Maguire when you've got no other centre-backs like Baye. He played awfully. You can't drop Maguire, and now he's got the confidence going into the next few games. So that's good.
Yeah, the centre-back situation, Kev, it is a problem, isn't it? Because Ricky's right there. You put McTominay and Fred in front of it. And it does go back to probably when you were on the show last, when Van Gaal was manager and he used to play, it was Blind and Smalling, and everyone thought they were brilliant. But actually it was because they had two centre defensive midfielders in front of them and they didn't have to do a lot of defence. And, maybe that's what Ollie's gone back to.
Mm. Well, they were the dark days, yes. All they were doing was covering for them, if anything, wasn't it? But no. I was happy Maguire played yesterday, as I touched on before. But again, we look at the transfer business and every one of us as Man United fans would have been looking and saying, we need a central defender with pace. Did we get one? No. If anything, if you were scraping the barrel, Chris Smalling come back to United. And if anything, he was the best of probably a bad bunch. It sounds bad, that. But I rate him higher than Lindelof, higher than Eric Bailly, and we let him go, to Italy. He headed off, and yet we're still stuck with the likes of Phil Jones, who somehow gets a new contract. It just beggars belief, man. I'm just banging my head against the wall all the time. I just do not understand the decisions that this club is making, up there at the highest level. It's just unbelievable, man.
It is, and that's a good point there, because you've got Jones, Rojo, Romero, who are on 80 grand a week, all of them. So that's 240 grand a week, £250,000 a week. I don't even see where they get in to this team anymore, let alone this matchday squad. We've
got 3 goalkeepers who would probably walk in at any Premier League team, and they're on, what is it, something ridiculous, about 600 grand a week. Romero, I feel quite sorry for him. He obviously wants to go. We brought Henderson back to challenge De Gea. To Romero, that's almost like saying, well, what games is he going to play this season? He's not going to get a look in. I feel sorry for him, but I understand why Henderson's come back to challenge De Gea. But we've got 3 really, really good goalkeepers. And you know what I mean? They're earning something like nearly 600 grand a week just between them 3 keepers. It's madness.
It is. It is. That's an interesting point. Actually, we'll talk about that. It's just off the cuff, but we'll get the opinion of all 3 of you on this. Look, De Gea made a fantastic save yesterday. Henderson for me, he should have been loaned out. He didn't get loaned out. We've given him a new contract. We've made him, I think he's the 3rd or 4th best paid player in the league, best paid goalkeeper in the league, with De Gea at first. So we've got the 1st and 4th best goalkeeper, paid goalkeeper in the league. He has played Carabao Cup games. Is there any, Ricky, is there any danger, or well, I suppose danger is not the word, because I do like Dean Henderson. Do you think there's some agreement that Dean Henderson may be the Champions League goalkeeper? And is that right, considering its goalkeeper position?
I don't know the answer to the question, Mark, but it's a good question. It could be the case. We'll find out, won't we, on Tuesday, I suppose. But do
you think it's right, though? I mean, look, De Gea, I think you said it. I'm sure you said it in your fan cam, or maybe I said it, that we've conceded 11 goals, and funnily enough, you couldn't really put it on the goalkeeper. Even the Newcastle goal yesterday, you can't put any of them on the goalkeeper, but we have conceded a lot of goals. So De Gea's had a good season. It's a Champions League game away against PSG. I mean, have we now created a problem where if you drop De Gea for that to give Henderson game time, are we now a charity and not a football club? Because surely De Gea, he's a goalkeeper. He's not tired.
No, he doesn't need resting. And like you say, I don't know whether they've already said to Henderson that we'll play it in the Champions League. If I'm honest, I doubt that they have. They might have said that we'll play it in the League Cup. They might have said that we'll play it in the FA Cup. And if we were in the Europa League, they might have said we'll play it in the Europa League. But the Champions League games generally are as tough as Premier League games and just as important. So I would say that they probably haven't said that to him.
Any chance of that happening, Beth? Do you think? You think Henderson might be in the game tomorrow, Tuesday?
I think he could play. I wouldn't be surprised if Ollie does play him, but I don't think he should. I think De Gea's done really well. He started the season well. He saved yesterday, was world class. So for me, I think De Gea has to start. It's not doing anything to warrant Henderson getting in front of him. If you're going to play your best team against PSG, David De Gea is still the number one for me. But if Henderson's happy to sit on the bench and knows that De Gea is number one and he can come in when he makes a few mistakes, then I don't think there's any harm in having him there. I think it's a disgrace what's happened to Romero, to be honest. He's been a servant to the club. I think he should have been let go, especially the wages on. And that just showed how bad our life couldn't have done that. But I think if Henderson willing to sit on the bench, I think it's good for United. At the end of the day, you've seen what's happened to Liverpool. With Alisson out, they've got Adrian in now, and he's not good enough. So I think if, God forbid, anything did happen to David De Gea, we've got a great backup goalkeeper and vice versa. Games can be won and lost based on goalkeeper, so I'm glad we've got two world-class ones, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I was never a big fan of this. I can't think of a situation where you've got two very good goalkeepers. You only need one, and I don't know how it's going to play out. And it's not playing out well for Henderson, really, Kev, is it really? Because he's not getting any game time at United, and he's got Pickford in goal for England, so he's probably feeling quite depressed at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. All the right things when he come back to United. He said, it's quite a big, it's a massive challenge to come to Manchester United, Dean Henderson, at that age and say, I'm going to challenge David De Gea. I want his, number one jersey. And that's what I like about him. No doubt in his talent. But again, I think maybe a couple of years, maybe if he'd have stayed at Sheffield United or maybe gone out for another year, and just see how things are. But fair play to him. He's come back and, if anything, we need that competition in our team because De Gea definitely went through a rough spell and we couldn't really, the Romero was there, but still De Gea was always your number one to turn to. But now, he's breathing down De Gea's neck. And basically, the minute he makes a mistake, De Gea now, the pressure's on because he knows he'll be out that team. And Henderson showed that he's, if anything, the thing I like about Henderson, he's very vocal compared to De Gea very rarely shouts out instructions from the back. But Henderson, from what I've seen from him in his very short time in that first team, is the fact that he barks out orders to the back line. He seems to organise them quite well. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out, but he's back. And yeah, competition for places, that's what it's all about. That's what you want.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting couple of weeks. I'm very excited about PSG on Tuesday, then Chelsea, and then Leipzig, and then Arsenal. There is nowhere to hide. And look, if we were anticipating that Newcastle team news, I think for the next couple of games, it's going to be the same again because, as we started the show, Pogba, does he come in? Martial, you'd expect to come in. Does Mata hold on to his place? Ollie was very vocal about, he's been patient and he deserves his spot. So it's going to be very interesting what happens over the next coming days and next couple of weeks, really. Because for me, I would, and I'll ask you this as well. Would you rather get the 6 points in the Champions League or take 6 points? I know it won't work like that, but what's more important at this stage? Is it the 2 wins in the league or is it the 2 wins in the Champions League, Ricky?
For me, it's the league, but I've got 2 things I want to say rapidly because you've just mentioned one of them.
Go on.
Ollie's been singing Mata's praises as if he's a new player. I don't get it. It's almost like he didn't realise he was a good player before yesterday. So I don't get that one little bit. The other thing I want to mention, that I thought about this a while back when we were talking about Telles and Shaw. I've not seen Telles play before, but I know he gets a lot of assists and a lot of goals for the left back. Can he play on the left wing?
I don't know. I think he might have been brought in for a back 5, which is why I think we might do that against PSG. But I mean, Telles for me, and I've not seen loads of him. I think he's in the top 5 in the world left backs at the moment. I don't know whether he can defend. That's the problem.
I think he's better at going forward than he is defending. But then we've got Luke Shaw, who's half decent defender, but isn't great going forward. So it's
better than Williams, though. So Shaw's injury prone, isn't he? So if he did get injured, then at least we've got 2 really top class left backs that can come in. It's one of them, isn't it? I'd rather have him than not have him. Let's just say that. I mean, it's going forward.
It's like Kev said, isn't it? It's competition for places, and I'm with you, Beth. I don't know what Brandon Williams' future is, but this big up that he was a left back is just we were mugged off there. I mean, people were telling me last January he's 2-footed. If he's 2-footed, then I can play the piano, and I can't. So he's the most right. He's like Phil Neville at left back without the step overs.
I think we've got to see him right back in a Carabao Cup game or something. See if he can do something.
Yeah, he's good. Give him a game on that side.
Yeah.
The problem with that is we've drawn Everton in the Carabao Cup.
Oh yeah.
And that's not till Christmas we play that. It's like right before Christmas, the next Carabao Cup game, which is why I mentioned Henderson, because it's all right saying he's going to get Carabao Cup games, but he's not playing for 2 months if he's not playing till then, is he?
Correct. Yeah.
So be interesting. I wouldn't put Henderson near that team on Tuesday. I think it would be, but I worry with Ollie because I've heard him say this before about penalties. It's about whoever feels like it on the day. Make a bloody decision. You say who your captain is. You say who your penalty taker is, and you say that David De Gea is your goalkeeper. I don't want to see fairness because fairness is I can't think of something that rhymes with it, but it's not the right thing. So I hope it's De Gea in goal. I really do. But look, we've gone over, which is always okay. A really good show. And how do you feel, Kev?
Oh, great! It's like I've never been away. And 4 years away, where I was just out in the woods cutting wood and just walking about. It's been great. I've grown a beard and everything. Look at me, all grown up.
Well, they finally found him, and his family's the winner. So it's good to have Kev back on. And thanks for Ricky. You're not going to be out with your Turkish dial-up for much longer, are you?
I'm back on Thursday.
Back on Thursday. So there you go. And Beth, another good show. Enjoy it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to speak to Ricky and Kev, obviously, get different opinions, bouncing off each other. It's like interesting to see what other people think and what other people say and the agreement and stuff. But, yeah. And
obviously me, talk to me as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, look, thanks everyone for coming on. Really enjoyed it. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. I really enjoyed it tonight. I really did. Really good chat. And on an evening when actually we're in a weird situation because normally we have 4 or 5 massive things to moan about, and I don't think we do. It's quite a nice Sunday night. I've had a lovely relaxing Sunday. I had a lovely lamb lunch. Watched a bit of Lord of the Rings extended version. Glass of red wine. I was like, what's going on? It's like heaven. I've not had this on a Sunday after match. Watched Match of the Day last night. I didn't even know. I couldn't remember the theme tune. The wife said. The wife said, I love the theme tune to Match of the Day. Hum it out. And I started doing Emmerdale. I was like, I can't remember what Match of the Day is like. So, yeah, good. More of this, but more big challenges to come, I think. Thanks for coming on, Ricky.
No problem.
Thanks, Kev.
Thank you very much, mate.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you both.
Nice to meet you all. Yeah, definitely.
And thanks to all you for watching. Speak to you tomorrow.
Good night.